The Galactic Concordat had ruled the stars for over 3,000 years. 17 different alien species lived in perfect harmony under their guidance, following the sacred protocol of civilized contact that had prevented wars for millennia. Every new species discovered in the galaxy received the same treatment: a polite message, a waiting period, then careful integration into their peaceful confederation. Commander Velthari floated in his crystalline command chamber aboard the massive monitoring station Eternal Watch, his 6 tentacles dancing over holographic controls as he reviewed the daily reports. The Concordat's deep space sensors stretched across hundreds of light years, constantly scanning for new civilizations that might need their guidance. Today's readings made his bioluminescent patches flicker with concern. A primitive species from the third spiral arm had been launching crude metal vessels at an alarming rate. In just 50 rotations, they had scattered their offspring across 12 different star systems like seeds in cosmic wind. "Fascinating," murmured his science officer, Kethmore, whose insectoid features clicked with curiosity. "They use chemical propulsion and metal hulls. Very primitive, yet surprisingly effective for their technological level." Velthari's species, the Zephyrians, had evolved past such crude methods eons ago. Their ships moved through folded spacetime, barely disturbing the cosmic fabric. These newcomers smashed through space like hammers, leaving ion trails and radiation signatures that any civilized species could detect from sectors away. Following ancient protocol, Velthari activated the Universal Broadcast Array. The message went out simultaneously, across all known communication frequencies: radio waves, quantum entanglement channels, gravitational pulse patterns, even primitive electromagnetic signals that younger species might understand. "Unknown species of the third spiral arm," his translated voice echoed across the void. "You are hereby notified to cease all expansion activities immediately. Await formal contact protocols as established by Galactic Concordat Charter 77 Alpha. Compliance ensures peaceful integration into the galactic community. Failure to comply will result in enforcement action." The message was broadcast in 47 different mathematical languages, quantum signatures, and communication methods. No intelligent species in recorded history had ever failed to receive and understand at least one version. On Earth, 700 light-years away, Dr. Kim Hana rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at banks of computer monitors in the Korean Deep Space Research Facility. Strange interference patterns had been corrupting their SETI arrays for weeks, creating ghost signals that appeared and disappeared like digital phantoms. "Another false positive," she muttered, watching wave-like patterns scroll across her screens. The interference looked almost structured, like someone was broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously, but her computers couldn't make sense of it. Every time the pattern recognition software tried to decode the signals, they fragmented into meaningless static. Her colleague, Dr. Ryu Jinwoo, leaned over her shoulder. "Maybe it's just solar flare activity from Proxima Centauri. Remember last month's electromagnetic storm?" Hana shook her head. "This is different, too regular, too purposeful. But every time I try to clean up the signal, it gets worse." 3,000 kilometers above Earth's surface, Captain Park Jin-ho was conducting final systems checks aboard the colony ship New Horizon. The massive vessel stretched 2 kilometers from bow to stern, packed with 15,000 sleeping colonists, manufacturing equipment, and everything needed to establish humanity's newest outpost. "All systems green, Captain," reported his navigation officer, Lieutenant Go Yunji. "Jump calculations confirmed for the Kepler 442 system. Colony site designation, New Busan." Jin-ho nodded, watching Earth slowly rotate beneath them through the observation deck's reinforced windows. Somewhere down there, his daughter was starting her first day at university, completely unaware that her father was about to violate an alien quarantine that would change human history forever. "Engage jump drive," he ordered. The New Horizon's experimental fusion engines roared to life, bending space-time around the massive vessel. To human sensors, it was their most advanced technology. To the Concordat's monitoring systems, it registered as crude gravitational disruption, like watching children play with nuclear weapons. Days passed. Then weeks. Velthari monitored human space with growing unease as more ships launched from the small blue planet. Colony vessels, exploration craft, mining platforms, research stations, an endless stream of human expansion that showed no signs of slowing. Still no response to our broadcasts, reported Communications Officer Thisara, her scaled features reflecting concern. Perhaps their technology is too primitive to receive our signals. Velthari's tentacles writhed with frustration. Impossible. We're broadcasting on frequencies that even Stone Age civilizations could detect. They must be receiving our messages. Then why do they continue expanding? Asked Kethmore. The truth was more troubling than any of them realized. Not only were humans completely unaware of the Concordate's existence, but their own electromagnetic chaos, satellites, radio towers, internet signals, and millions of electronic devices had turned their entire solar system into a cosmic interference generator that scrambled any incoming alien communications into incomprehensible noise. They ignore us completely, Velthari finally reported to the High Council during the emergency session. Representatives from all 17 Concordate species materialized as holograms around the circular chamber, their various forms creating a bizarre gallery of galactic intelligence. Impossible, declared High Councillor Morthak, whose crystalline body resonated with authority. No species has ever ignored first contact protocols. Perhaps Velthari's bioluminescent patches dimmed ominously. They are more dangerous than... We calculated. Xenolinguist Morthek had decoded the languages of 43 different species during his 7 centuries of service to the Concordate. His crystalline brain could process mathematical concepts, quantum harmonics, and even telepathic thought patterns from silicon-based life forms. But these humans were driving him completely insane. The Vorthon scientist's 4 arms moved frantically. Across his holographic workstation, surrounded by floating data streams that pulsed with intercepted human communications. Every transmission they captured seemed to contradict the last one, creating a puzzle that made no logical sense. "Listen to this," Morthek announced to his research team, his voice crackling with frustration as he played the latest recording. The translation matrix glowed as it processed the human sounds. Korean drama episode 43. Buffering, loading. Oh my god, Kim Opper is so handsome. I can't even... Subscribe and hit the bell icon. His assistant, a young Kephalite named Rixtar, whose tentacles twitched with nervous energy, analyzed the patterns on his own screen. The frequency suggests high emotional content, possibly battle fury. This Kim Opper must be their supreme military commander. But why would they broadcast their commander's location? Wondered Dr. Yathara, the team's behavioral specialist. Her insect-like features clicked with confusion. And what does subscribe and hit the bell icon mean? Some kind of recruitment call? Morthek replayed the transmission, breaking it down into component frequencies. The humans seemed to communicate through rapid emotional bursts, mixed with technical data streams. Their language patterns shifted constantly, sometimes gentle and melodic, other times harsh and aggressive, often within the same transmission. "Here's another one," he said, pulling up a different intercept. "Cooking show, episode 28. Today we're making kimchi jjigae. First you need fresh pork bellies and cooking." Rixtar's translator struggled with the concept. They're discussing food preparation during military operations. Field rations, obviously, Dr. Yathara concluded. This pork belly must be some kind of combat nutrition. But why broadcast preparation methods? The team spent days analyzing thousands of human transmissions. They detected everything from news broadcasts to social media posts, music streaming to video game chatter. The Concordate's most advanced translation algorithms, designed to decode any form of intelligent communication, kept producing bizarre results. "Gaming stream live now, let's get that chicken dinner. Oh no, I got headshot by some camping noob, but this game is so broken." Definitely military communications, Morthek decided. They're reporting casualties and discussing tactical positions, but their commanders seem very emotional. Meanwhile, on the edge of human space, mining supervisor Lee Minho was having his own problems with mysterious signals. His small operation on asteroid designation KL447 had been running smoothly for 3 months until the sensors started detecting strange energy patterns at the edge of their scanning range. Colonial Command, this is Deep Rock Mining Station 7, Minho reported over the long-range communicator, watching his screens flicker with unexplained readings. We're picking up some weird energy signatures about 40,000 kilometers. Out. Looks like concentrated gravitational disturbances. The reply came back 12 hours later, crackling with static from the distance. Probably just solar flares from the local star, Station 7. Keep monitoring and report any changes. But Minho knew solar flares. He'd been mining asteroids for 15 years and had seen every kind of cosmic weather imaginable. These readings were different, too regular, too focused, almost like someone was watching them from just beyond sensor range. His crew consisted of 12 miners, mostly Korean immigrants looking for a better life among the stars. They worked, long shifts blasting apart rocks and extracting precious metals, their conversation flowing between technical updates and casual banter that helped pass the endless hours in the void. "Hey, Minho Young," called out Park Dong-yuk from the control cabin of Mining Rig 3. "What do you want to do after this shift? I'm thinking we could finally finish that poker game from last week." "Sounds good," Minho replied over the comm. "Maybe we can grab some fried chicken from the food printer. I found a new recipe file from Earth." "Awesome, I'll bring the beer. Real stuff, not that synthetic garbage." Their casual conversation was being recorded by sensors they couldn't detect. Hidden concordant monitoring drones, invisible to human. Technology captured every word and transmitted them back to Morthek's translation center. The alien computers processed the miners' friendly chatter through algorithms designed for military communications. "Grab some fried chicken" was interpreted as a code for acquiring weapons. "Bring the beer" translated as mobilizing additional forces. "Real stuff, not synthetic," suggested they were discussing actual versus simulated combat scenarios. "This is troubling," Morthek reported to Commander Velthari. "Their mining operations appear to be military installations in disguise. They're using coded language to discuss tactical preparations." "What kind of preparations?" Velthari asked. "Based on our analysis, they're planning some kind of coordinated strike. Multiple references to grabbing things and finishing games. Classic pre-battle terminology." Unknown to the aliens, the humans had just crossed an invisible boundary, line that the Concordat had established around their territory. Minho's mining operation was now technically inside the quarantine zone, which made their innocent conversation sound like an invasion plan to paranoid alien listeners. "Sir," reported Rikstar, his tentacles quivering with excitement, "we've intercepted what appears to be their battle cry." "Play it," Velthari ordered. The recording filled the command center. "Let's get this bread, boys. Time to make some money." The translation algorithms rendered it as, "Commence the assault. Victory shall be ours." The Concordat's peaceful first. Contact mission was rapidly turning into a cosmic misunderstanding that would soon escalate beyond anyone's control. Dr. Yun Sora had been staring at the same signal pattern for 3 months, and it was driving her absolutely crazy. The Korean Space Research Institute's most powerful radio telescope array had been picking up this weird transmission buried deep in cosmic background radiation. But every time she tried to clean it up, the signal seemed to get worse instead of better. "Come on, you stubborn piece of junk," she muttered, adjusting the filters for the 100th time. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, and her eyes burned from staring at screens. But something about this signal kept nagging at her. It was too structured to be natural noise, too persistent to be random interference. The problem was Earth itself. Thousands of satellites buzzed around the planet like electronic bees, broadcasting everything from internet data to GPS signals. Radio towers pumped out constant streams of music, news, and advertisements. Cell phone networks created a constant electromagnetic buzz that interfered with even the most sensitive equipment. "Sora Uni, you should go home," called her assistant, Kim Tae-young from across the laboratory. "You've been here for 16 hours straight." "Just 5 more minutes," Sora replied, fine-tuning the signal processors. "I think I'm finally getting somewhere." The computer screen flickered as the translation algorithm tried to make sense of the fragmented transmission. Words appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Unknown. Cease. Await. Compliance. Peaceful. Sora frowned at the broken message. It looked like someone had run a foreign language through a broken translator, then scrambled the results with a random number. Generator. Looks like spam, she muttered, dragging the file into her digital trash folder. Probably some new type of interference from those Chinese satellite launches. She had no idea she'd just thrown away the most important message in human history. 3. 1,000 light-years away, Admiral Choi De-sung was dealing with his own mysterious signals. The gruff military commander sat in his office aboard the orbital defense station New Seoul, reviewing troubling reports that had been flooding in from the frontier colonies for weeks. Ghost ships shadowing our vessels, he read from the latest. Intelligence briefing. Unexplained sensor contacts appearing and disappearing without warning. Mining crews reporting strange energy readings at the edge of their operational zones. His aide, Captain Lee Ji-yeon, stood at attention beside his desk. Sir, could these be natural phenomena? Some kind of cosmic anomaly we haven't encountered before? Choi's weathered face hardened into the expression that had made him famous during the Mars Liberation Campaign. Captain, in 40 years of military service, I've learned one important lesson. When unknown contacts start appearing around your territory, you don't wait to find out if they're friendly. The Admiral activated his holographic command display, showing the current positions of all human colonies, mining operations, and military assets scattered across 12 star systems. Red warning indicators blinked at dozens of locations where strange contacts had been reported. If someone's out there watching us, studying our movements, then we need to establish our presence first, Choi declared. Launch Operation Deep Reach. Immediately. Sir, that's our largest expansion protocol, Captain Lee said carefully. Are you sure we want to commit those resources based on unconfirmed contacts? Captain, the best defense is a good offense. If there are hostile aliens out there, I'd rather meet them with overwhelming force than wait for them to strike first. Within hours, the order had gone out to every human colony, military base, and corporate headquarters in known space. Operation Deep Reach was the contingency plan that military strategists had developed for rapid territorial expansion in case of external threats. It was designed to claim as much space as possible before any potential enemy could establish their own positions. The response was immediate and massive. Every shipyard in human space began working around the clock. Colony ships that had been scheduled for routine supply runs were hastily converted into rapid settlement vessels. Military transports loaded with prefabricated habitats and defensive equipment launched toward previously unexplored systems. Captain Park Jin-ho, who had been conducting routine patrols near the Kepler colonies, suddenly found his mission parameters completely changed. New orders just came in, he announced to his crew aboard the fast cruiser Incheon Rising. We're no longer on patrol duty. Command wants us to establish forward observation posts in the Ross 124 system, immediately. That's 60 light-years, beyond our current perimeter, observed his navigation officer Ensign Ko Hyun-woo. We'll be completely cut off from supply lines. Orders are orders, Jin-ho replied, but privately he wondered what had spooked command so badly that they were willing to stretch their forces this thin. The largest wave of human expansion in history began immediately. Ships launched from Earth, Mars, the asteroid belt colonies, and every human outpost in known space. Within days, humanity's presence in the galaxy doubled, then tripled, as thousands of vessels spread out like seeds on cosmic wind. Manufacturing plants that had been producing consumer goods were converted to build more spacecraft. Mining operations shifted from extracting resources for Earth to supplying the expansion fleet. Even civilian transport ships were pressed into service, loaded with colonists eager to claim new worlds. From their hidden monitoring stations, the Concordat watched in growing alarm as human ships spread like wildfire across what they considered contested space. Every new human vessel that appeared on their sensors felt like a personal insult to their authority. They're not retreating, Commander Velthari observed, his bioluminescent patches flickering with disbelief as he watched the tactical display. Hundreds of new contacts were appearing daily, pushing deeper into space that the Concordat had claimed for millennia. They're accelerating, he whispered, watching humanity's expansion pick up speed instead of slowing down. The humans weren't just ignoring the Concordate's warnings. They were responding to alien contact by expanding faster than ever before. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from their home system. It appears they're launching additional waves of vessels every few hours." Velthari's tentacles writhed with frustration. In 3,000 years of galactic diplomacy, no species had ever responded to first contact by immediately expanding their territory. The humans were rewriting every rule of civilized behavior that the Concordate had established. "Prepare a message." "To the High Council," he ordered grimly. "These humans aren't just ignoring our authority, they're challenging it directly." The Concordate's enforcement fleet emerged from hyperspace like gleaming silver daggers cutting through the void. 12 massive vessels, each stretching over 3 kilometers in length, positioned themselves around New Sol colony in perfect geometric formation. Their hulls shimmered with energy shields that could deflect asteroid impacts, and their weapon systems hummed with power that could crack planets. Fleet Commander Kexthul stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Harmony, watching the primitive human colony through his tactical displays. The settlement was nothing impressive, a collection of metal habitats clustered around a central hub, with mining platforms scattered across nearby asteroids like metallic flowers blooming. "In space." "Standard demonstration protocol," Kexthul ordered, his forearms manipulating holographic controls with practiced ease. "Establish blockade formation. Power up primary weapons to 60%. That should be sufficient to encourage their surrender." His species, the Thekmori, had been enforcing Concordate peace for over 2 millennia. They were natural warriors, evolved from pack hunters on a world where only the strongest survived. But their strength was tempered by wisdom gained through centuries of civilized contact with other species. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "the humans are responding oddly." On the main screen, they watched as New Sol colony's emergency lights activated. Instead of panic or immediate surrender, the humans seemed to be organizing some kind of coordinated response. Small ships began moving between the colony's various sections, and the mining platforms started shifting their positions. Colony Administrator Song Minji stood in New Sol's command center, surrounded by screens showing the alien fleet that had just appeared outside their home. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but her voice carried the authority of someone who had survived 3 different corporate wars and the great asteroid rush of 2387. "Options report," she demanded. From her staff. 12 hostile vessels, vastly superior technology, reported Defense Coordinator Nam Jisiok, his face pale as he read the sensor data. "Their smallest ship has more firepower than our entire defense grid." "Communication attempts?" Minji asked. "Nothing. Coherent, some kind of broadcast in unknown languages, but our computers can't translate it." Minji studied the tactical display, her mind racing through possibilities. New Sol was home to 50,000 people. Miners, engineers, families who had come here for a better life among the stars. She wasn't going to let some aliens decide their fate without a fight. "Turn the mining charges into kinetic missiles," she ordered quietly. "Ma'am?" Nam Jisuk blinked in confusion. "You heard me. Strip the explosive warheads from our mining charges and attach them to cargo containers. If they want a fight, we'll give them one." "But ma'am, those are construction tools, not weapons." "Today they're weapons," Minji replied grimly. "Also, I want every civilian transport armed with whatever we can find. Kitchen appliances, industrial tools, anything that can be strapped to a rocket booster and fired at those bastards." Within hours, New Sol colony had transformed from a peaceful mining settlement into an improvised fortress. Mining charges, designed for breaking apart asteroids, were welded to cargo containers and fitted with guidance systems salvaged from transport shuttles. Construction robots were reprogrammed to serve as kamikaze drones. Even the colony's garbage recycling plant was converted into a mass driver for launching refuse at high velocity. The aliens watched in growing bewilderment as the humans began their preparations. "Sir," Kexthul's sensor operator reported, "they appear to be weaponizing their industrial equipment. Impossible, the fleet commander replied. No civilized species would respond to superior force with such primitive improvisation. Sir, I'm detecting multiple launches from the colony. Small craft, irregular trajectories, possible ramming vectors. The first wave of human missiles consisted of mining charges strapped to shipping containers, guided by navigation computers torn from civilian shuttles. They weren't sophisticated weapons, but they were fast, numerous, and completely unexpected. The Concordate ship's defensive systems, designed to intercept advanced military ordnance, had trouble targeting such crude projectiles. Several containers slammed into the Eternal Harmony's shields, exploding with the force of small nuclear weapons. "Damage report," Kexthul demanded as his ship shook from the impacts. "Minimal hull damage, but they're overwhelming our point defense systems with sheer numbers," his tactical officer reported. "Sir, they're launching kitchen appliances at us." "What?" "Microwave ovens, sir, strapped to rocket boosters. Our computers can't classify them as weapons, so the automated defenses are ignoring them." The Battle of the Kepler Gap began when civilian volunteer Yu Jihoon, a former fishing boat captain from Earth's West Sea, decided to ram his converted cargo hauler into the nearest alien vessel. His ship, the Lucky Star, had been modified with mining explosives and guidance systems cobbled together from spare parts. "This is for my grandchildren," Jihoon transmitted on all frequencies as he aimed his ship at the alien fleet. The Lucky Star struck a Concordate escort vessel at 40,000 kilometers per hour. The explosion lit up space like a brief star, and when the light faded, both ships were gone. That single act of defiance triggered something primal in human nature. Across New Sol Colony and the surrounding mining platforms, civilians began volunteering for suicide missions in barely space-worthy vessels, loaded with whatever explosives they could find. "They fight like cornered animals," Fleet Commander Kexthul reported to Concordate Command, his voice filled with something that might have been fear. "No surrender, no negotiation, only total war." The battle lasted 3 days. Humans were outgunned 10-1. Their weapons were improvised junk compared to Concordate technology, and they had no chance of winning a conventional engagement. But they refused to yield. Fishing boats rammed into battle cruisers, cargo haulers loaded with mining. Explosives dove into alien formations. Even maintenance drones were converted into guided missiles that swarmed the Concordate fleet like angry metal wasps. "Sir," Kexthul's communications officer reported on the third day, "we're receiving a transmission from the human colony." "Put it through." Song Minji's image appeared on the main screen, her face streaked with smoke and her uniform torn from 3 days of continuous battle. Behind her, the colony's command center showed signs of damage from alien return fire. "Unknown aliens," she began, her voice steady despite everything. "You picked the wrong species to intimidate. We don't surrender. We don't negotiate with invaders. If you want our colony, you'll have to kill every last one of us to get it." Kexthul stared at the human female, realizing with growing horror that she meant every word. These weren't warriors or soldiers. They were miners, engineers, ordinary people who had somehow transformed themselves into the most dangerous enemy he'd ever faced. The Concordate had created exactly what they'd hoped to prevent: a species that would fight to the death rather than submit to alien authority. Xenolinguist Morthek's crystalline brain was overheating as he desperately tried to decode human communications during the third day of the siege. His research station, aboard the monitoring vessel, Deep Thought was filled with floating holographic displays, showing thousands of intercepted transmissions, each one more confusing than the last. "There has to be a pattern," he muttered, his forearms working frantically across multiple interfaces. The battle raging around New Sol Colony had generated an enormous amount of human chatter, tactical communications, personal messages, even what appeared to be music broadcasts from the besieged colony. His assistant Rikstar pointed a tentacle at one of the displays. "Sir, look at this. The humans keep referencing something called home and family during combat operations. Could this be some kind of battle philosophy?" Morthek paused, studying the emotional patterns in human voices as they fought his people's fleet. Something about their communication structure was fundamentally different from every other species in the galaxy. They weren't just exchanging tactical information, they were sharing personal stories, expressing fear, love, anger, and determination, all mixed together. "Wait," Morthek whispered, a terrible realization beginning to form. "Run a spectrum analysis on their electromagnetic signatures from their home system." The computer processed terabytes of data from human space, showing the massive electromagnetic cloud that surrounded Earth and its colonies. Radio signals, satellite transmissions, internet traffic, cellular communications. It was a chaotic storm of electronic noise that would scramble any incoming signal beyond recognition. "Oh no," Morthek breathed, his bioluminescent patches dimming with horror. "They never received our message. Their own technology created too much interference. They don't even know we tried to contact them peacefully." The truth hit him like a physical blow. Every human action that the Concordat had interpreted as aggressive expansion was actually just exploration. Their rapid spread across the galaxy wasn't military conquest. It was the natural behavior of a curious species, discovering they weren't alone in the universe. "Sir," Rikstar's voice trembled with fear, "if they didn't know about our peaceful intentions, then they think we attacked them without warning." Morthek's hands shook as he activated the emergency communication array to contact Commander Velthari. But it was already too late. The damage had been done, and humanity's response was already racing toward Concordat space at impossible speed. Admiral Choi Dae-sung stood in the command center of the massive battleship New Incheon, surrounded by holographic displays showing the largest military mobilization in human history. Every shipyard, mining platform, and construction facility in human space had been converted to military production in just 72 hours. "Status report," he demanded from his staff. "Operation Total Response is proceeding ahead of schedule," reported Captain Lee Jion. "We have mobilized every available vessel. Military ships, converted civilian transports, mining platforms fitted with kinetic weapons, even luxury cruise liners armed with improvised missile systems." The Admiral's weathered face showed grim satisfaction as he reviewed the numbers. Humanity had responded to the alien attack with typical human efficiency by turning their entire civilization into a weapon. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Kepler sector," Communications Officer Park Seung-ho announced. The holographic display flickered to life, showing Song Minji's smoke-stained face from the ruins of New Seoul Colony's command center. Behind her, the colony showed signs of devastating battle damage, but the humans were still fighting. "Admiral, we've held them off for 3 days, but they're wearing us down," she reported. "These aliens have technology we can't match, but they seem confused by our tactics. They expected us to surrender after their first demonstration of force." "Any attempt at communication?" Choi asked. "Nothing we can understand. Just broadcasts in some alien language. Our computers can't make sense of it." Choi nodded grimly. The aliens had attacked without warning, without any attempt at negotiation or communication that humans could understand. In his military experience, that meant only one thing: total war. "Hold your position, Administrator Song. Help is coming." The Admiral activated the fleet-wide communication system, his voice broadcasting to thousands of ships spreading across human space like an unstoppable tide. "This is Admiral Choi Dae-sung of the Terran Defense Fleet. Unknown aliens have attacked our colonies without warning or provocation. They think they can intimidate humanity with superior technology. They're about to learn they picked the wrong species to threaten." His transmission crackled across space, reaching every human vessel in the expanding fleet. "We're coming for you," he declared, staring into the camera with the intensity that had made him famous during the Mars campaigns. "You want to threaten human colonies? We'll show you what happens when you corner a species that colonize space with nothing but determination and recycled tin cans." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across hundreds of star systems, humans began converting everything that could fly into weapons of war. Cargo haulers became missile platforms. Construction equipment was turned into kinetic weapons. Even passenger liners were fitted with mining charges and guidance systems. Captain Park Jin-ho, aboard his converted exploration vessel, watched his sensors as the human fleet continued to grow. "Sir, I'm reading over 10,000 vessels and the number keeps climbing. This is the largest fleet in human history. It needs to be, Admiral Choi replied. We're not just fighting for our colonies. We're fighting for the survival of our entire species. The massive human armada approached Concordate space like a swarm of angry metal hornets. They weren't coming to negotiate or establish diplomatic contact. They were coming to ensure that humanity would never again face unprovoked alien aggression. Commander. Velthari stood on the bridge of his command ship, staring in disbelief at the sensor displays showing thousands of improvised human warships. Each vessel was unique. Some were clearly military designs, others were obviously converted civilian craft, and many appeared to be industrial equipment that had been hastily weaponized. How many? He asked his sensor operator. Over 15,000 contacts, sir, and more arriving every hour. They've militarized their entire civilization. Velthari's bioluminescent patches flickered with despair as he realized the magnitude of the Concordate's mistake. We tried to prevent a war, he whispered to his crew. Instead, we created the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. The humans hadn't gotten the message about peaceful contact. Their own electromagnetic interference had scrambled the Concordate's diplomatic overtures into meaningless noise. But they had sent a message that every alien in the galaxy would understand. Mess with humanity, and they'll turn the entire universe into their weapon. As the human fleet approached Concordate territory, broadcasting warnings in dozens of human languages that the aliens couldn't translate, Velthari made a desperate decision. He activated the emergency diplomatic protocols and began transmitting on every frequency he could reach, hoping against hope that this time, somehow, the humans would receive his message of peace. But looking at the approaching human armada, thousands of ships crewed by a species that had just proven they would fight to the death rather than surrender, Velthari wondered if it was already too late for both their civilizations. The humans had finally received a message from the galaxy, and their response was coming at maximum velocity. The end